Our second question comes from the Toronto Underhoused and Homeless Union, also known as TUHU. They are a union that formed last year, composed of people who have lived on the streets or still do. They formed because up until now, city policies about homelessness have usually been drawn up by politicians and bureaucrats without much, if any, formal consultation with people with lived experience of homelessness. Our North Toronto cluster of churches and the Roehampton Friendlies has been working with the union for the past year. So this is their question. How do you plan to consult and engage people in experiencing homelessness and underhousing when shaping the policies that will affect us?
Well, I can tell you what I did do, for better or worse. I live about 150 meters from the Roehampton Hotel. So as you've already heard, it was a homeless shelter. During COVID, there were needles in the schoolyards, there were people wandering around backyards, caused a lot of concern among residents. It was a bit of a shit show, to use a technical term. So during the last election when I ran, I thought it might be an issue, and I wanted to know the facts. I want to understand what was happening on the ground. So I did a bunch of research. I made a list of all of the people who had ever spoken on it, and I called them. And that is how I first met Reverend Milton, because I called him and learned about your program to provide welcome baskets to the shelter. I learned what city staff were doing to clean up the needles, and I spoke to the guy who was the biggest critic, who conceded that things were much better. So I think we can give ourselves a bit of, a pat on the back in that our community stepped up and made things better than it was before we started. I think that city councillors can't possibly design all the programs. City staff have to design programs. They have to hire the right people with on-the-ground experience. But I think city councillors more do a sniff test, asking around the neighborhood, understanding what's going on, in order to test to see if what comes to the council table is a good idea. I see city council role as more like a coach, not a player. And I do think that my background and experience as a development consultant for nonprofits, affordable housing, and in designing multifamily housing from semis to walk-ups would be an asset on City Council as we review programs to address homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you very much.